We wanted to explore all of America's first national park, but the Yellowstone River had something else in mind. Famous for its natural wonders, Yellowstone is full of surprises. Washed-out roads may have limited our adventure, but we still made the best of it. With beautiful scenery, a few wildlife encounters, and finding out just how hot a geothermal spring really gets.
Just don't burn yourself.
Oh yeah, that's hot.
We've actually done the drive through the Tobacco Root Mountains on the Rocky Mountain front in Montana many times. We had no idea where we would be camping for the night. We hopped on the iOverlander app to find dispersed camping in the area. We decided to give this one Forest Service road a try. In deciding where to park, we usually check the reviews. First, I look to see if it says big rig friendly or if there's a turnaround spot. Sometimes if we can't turn our trailer around, it makes things a little more difficult. I also look for things like the conditions of the road, but things like bumpy ride-in, washboard road, or even really tough terrain, that usually doesn't stop us though. We have found we're the type that, no matter what, we'll go check it out for ourselves. We often find we like the ones that say require high clearance or 4x4 only.
Where are you going, Allie girl? First time parking with the high clearance. We are already loving it.
Didn't even have to think about it.
Watching
nice.
the axle, you still had like 2.5 inches on that one rock where we would have hit easily before.
The axle's the lowest point. Didn't even have to think about the rest of the trailer.
Right.
If you haven't seen our last video, we did an axle flip, giving us more clearance so we can get into places like this easier.
After a little over 4 hours of driving, we got all set up and settled in for the night. It was nice to relax. We had found a great spot to call home just outside of West Yellowstone in Custer-Gallatin National Forest. The next morning, we headed into the park.
This is classic Yellowstone, a line of cars following a bison. Number 4, and there's about, I don't know. It goes like 2 curves back. It's funny.
Just a giant trail to them.
Right?
That's a huge. Oh, there it comes. He just crossed back in front of him.
If you are planning a visit to Yellowstone National Park and have the time, we would suggest driving the Grand Loop. This is the combination of the upper loop and the lower loop, and it forms a figure 8. We also recommend taking your time. Yellowstone is big and it is beautiful. You have a velociraptor.
Chance.
We're in Yellowstone! Woo!
It's probably chilly. Actually not bad at all. Huh.
It's all those geysers, it keeps it warm.
There is that potential.
Not horrible. So we had to come in the west entrance because the north and northeast entrances are still closed because of the major flooding event that happened in June this year.
Unprecedented flooding of Yellowstone National Park caused so much damage that will likely take years to repair.
Park Superintendent Cam Shawley says repairing the 2-mile highway could now take up to 5 years.
Apparently it's still all under construction. You can walk into those areas or bike, but
Look crazy.
no driving. We kind of want to see it. I don't know what we're gonna end up doing.
I thought I'd jump on here and give you a quick update. As of July 2023, all the repairs have been done in regards to the flooding event of 2022. So at the time of this video, all the park entrances are open. So please don't be confused by our timeline.
We had already been to that section of the park in the past, so it didn't really bother me that much that those entrances were closed since we had already seen it.
But we only came for one day. We hardly had enough time to do anything but the north entrance.
What about you? Would you want to go see something that you'd already seen before, or would you be okay with not seeing it again?
I would totally go back to a place I've been, especially in a national park. Lamar Valley is like the place to go see wildlife. So if you get to come, you should definitely add that to your list.
Mammoth Hot Springs was pretty cool. It's got these terraces that form from the calcium carbonate building up, and so every time you go see it, it's a little bit different.
It's okay that the north and northeast entrances are closed this time because we can focus on the south loop. After a quick, easy overlook stop at Gibbon Falls, we worked our way over to the Norris Geyser Basin. This boardwalk is a little over 2 miles long.
The hot water below this area causes the rising steam to break down the rocks into this gooey clay mix. It's pretty cool.
You want to take a bath?
Yeah, it's a thing. People get mud baths.
Watch out for flying mud.
There is definitely a strong rotten egg smell in this area.
Did you make a stinky?
An epic stinky. It destroyed the land.
That'd be an epic stinky, all right.
It was pretty hot in the sun, only made hotter by all the steam in the basin. Be prepared for no shade on this boardwalk as you explore this area.
Really?
It's called Sunday Geyser.
So it only goes off on Sundays.
I mean, name things because they make sense, not because you decided that that's what you're gonna name.
Unreal. Like, I can't imagine finding this. Just out exploring and you're like, whoa, what is that? Some hiccups.
Yeah, the hiccups again.
That's a
Nice.
I was gonna say we're enjoying a nice little lunch break, but I have hiccups.
This is the hottest and most acidic thermal area in all of Yellowstone.
Does look like a whale's mouth.
A little bit. Boiling almost sounds like we're walking on it, but I think it's just close by. Like there's definitely one over here. There's definitely one over there.
Hi, babe.
Hi.
Steamboat Springs that goes off, what, every 3 to 50 years?
Yeah.
Went off a month ago.
When I found out that Steamboat had erupted recently, I was pretty jealous. That would have been so amazing to go watch.
We missed it by a month, and that was about the same time the flooding was happening.
Right?
I'm really curiouser and curiouser if that has anything to do with,
All that extra water might have changed something.
right?
We continued our way to Back Basin, where Emerald and Steamboat Springs are located.
What, 85 degrees out here and the thing is still steaming?
Hey, you kind of do bounce on these boardwalks because the boards are all bouncy.
Is that how that works?
Yes.
Part of the experience. If they fixed them, it just wouldn't feel the same.
It wouldn't feel the same.
Need that little bit of danger factor that you might at any moment fall through and burn yourself or break a leg,
Sounds fun.
right? That's what keeps you alive, or keeps you feeling alive.
Speaking of feeling alive, being able to visit all these unique and beautiful places really keeps us inspired to keep seeing even more of them. I believe this is our 10th national park.
It's a really vibrant color.
Right? Yeah, of course. Sun turned off.
So we turned off the sun.
This is the one that goes off every 3 to 50 years and can get up to 300 feet tall. For a little perspective, Old Faithful erupts to about 150 feet tall. This one's at 300 feet tall. That's twice as big as Old Faithful, and we are impressed by Old Faithful. That basin was hot enough that we decided we needed some ice cream before we moved on. Welcome to the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone. This is how Yellowstone got its name, from the yellow sandstone that lines the banks of the Yellowstone River. Artist Point got its name from Thomas Moran's painting of the area. These paintings are largely what inspired Yellowstone to become a national park in 1872. I nerd out on fun facts about national parks.
There is a 2.6-mile outback hike from Artist Point along the canyon. We determined that we didn't have a lot of time left before we had to get back to Alley, so we just decided to drive to Upper and Lower Falls.
The next morning, we drove in along the Madison River with the trailer, knowing we wouldn't be back.
We stopped at a pull-off to check out Maiden's Grave Hot Spring on the banks of the Firehole River.
Whew, steamy. How cold is the river?
A little bit of warm, a little bit of cold.
Just don't burn yourself.
Oh yeah. But look at it, like I'm touching where it's kind of mixing.
Yeah.
And after it had gone so tiny, you know it's losing a bunch of heat.
Yeah.
That's hot.
That's like picturesque perfect hot spring though. Like
It is.
if it was the right temperature.
If it was the right temperature,
Whew,
this
foggy
is
enough to
everything you could ask for in a hot spring.
Did you burn yourself?
I don't think so, but I had my hand in where it was cooler, and then I took it out and moved it like an inch and put it in where it was way less cool.
After we had to look it up, the average temperature of that spring is 200 degrees Fahrenheit. This is pretty average for most surface temperatures of the geysers and springs around here. We continued south to the Midway Geyser Basin. Grand Spasmatic Spring? What'd you call it?
Grand Spasmatic. You got it.
I wonder if you used to be able to swim here.
I'm positive you used to be able to swim in every one of them that wouldn't kill you.
Jordan wants to swim,
I do. In the hot water. It's the cold water.
which makes it neutral water.
Right?
I really don't remember if this is. I don't remember where we swam, but it was definitely half cold, half hot,
Yeah.
and it was very
This
cool
is the one you
experience.
were thinking.
Boiling River. Yeah, and it's closed right now.
If I had to pick my favorite spot in the whole park, this would be it. Grand Prismatic Spring is unbelievable. We can't fly the drone here, but I just have to show you an aerial view of this thing. It is too amazing not to.
We wrapped up our visit by stopping at the iconic Old Faithful. It erupts every 60 to 90 minutes and it definitely attracts a crowd.
Definitely go into Old Faithful Inn, even if you aren't staying there. It's worth checking out the building itself. This is another quick visit to Yellowstone. We only had 2 days, but we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. We made a couple more stops on our way out, one being the largest high elevation lake in the country. We brought the trailer with us today so we could exit the park through the south entrance and continue to our next destination. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time.